Number 10. Mystery Moon Rock. There are some discoveries out there that scientists just can't explain, and one of the most recent comes from our very own moon. China's Yutu-2 lunar rover recently found what could be a surprisingly young collection of rocks while exploring the far side of the lunar surface. Basically, the lunar rover found rocks that are lighter in color than many other of the moon rocks, meaning that they are significantly newer to the surface of the moon than the other stones. This could lead to some huge scientific breakthroughs in the geological history of our moon. Upon closer inspection, the rover found that the rocks were not very eroded, meaning that they haven't been affected by the huge changes in temperature that occur on long lunar days and nights on the moon. However, the unexplainable part is that scientists don't know exactly what this means. Why would there be young rocks on the moon? There were quite a few of them, and they all appeared to be similar in both size and shape, meaning they are probably related. Still, even though the rocks appeared new on the moon could mean anywhere from 10 to 100 million years old. It's really hard to say. And the significance of these moon rocks won't be understood until quite a bit more investigation is done. Number 9. Skyquakes. If you've never heard of earthquakes in the sky, you're not the only one. And yet, skyquakes are a very real thing that scientists can't explain. Basically, a skyquake is a mysterious booming noise that happens unexpectedly during a clear blue sky. In November of 2017, residents from 15 different counties in Alabama reported hearing skyquakes at the exact same time, with booms so loud that some people called 911. A few hours later, the National Weather Service said that there was no explanation for the noise, while radar scans and satellite images of Alabama did not show any fire or smoke that could have come from an explosion. And of course, the United States Geological Survey spotted not a single sign of an earthquake on their seismic monitoring system. In the end, nobody had an answer for what the immense booming sound was. The phenomenon has since been labeled as a skyquake, and to this day they are extremely rare and incredibly mysterious. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking that maybe it was a meteor exploding in the atmosphere, but not so fast. NASA scientists ruled that out immediately after, saying that there were no reports of anyone seeing a giant fireball in the sky. And when a meteorite explodes in the atmosphere, there is always a fireball. Of course, Alabama isn't the only place to have experienced skyquakes. They've happened in New Jersey and Idaho, and even in India. They may have happened in even more places around the globe, but we just don't know because people haven't reported them. Number 8. China's Stonehenge. A mysterious circular structure has recently been found in China that is being compared to Stonehenge in England, and the discovery has scientists scratching their heads. About 200 strange stones have been discovered in the Gobi Desert. Locals refer to them simply as the strange stone circles, with each formation varying in size and in shape, and with one particular monument resembling the shape of the sun. Experts believe that these strange formations were likely crafted by primitive nomads who worshipped the sun thousands of years ago. These same experts believe that these sites could have been used for ritual sacrifice, though what kind of sacrifice and what the purpose behind the sacrifice was is still a total mystery. But here comes the real kicker. The Chinese stone formations and the Stonehenge located in Wiltshire are incredibly similar. Both ancient structures are related to old races of people who worshipped the sun, and the stones used to construct each site were brought from outside the general area. But while the original Stonehenge has been dated and properly studied, the stone formations in China are still not understood. And while we know when they were built, we don't know which people actually constructed them, and we still don't know what they were used for. Have you ever been to China? What was it like? Did you see any historical monuments like these, or did you visit the Great Wall? Tell me about it in the comments below. Then remember to subscribe to Talltanic for more incredible videos. Number 7. The Colossi of Memnon. One of the most intriguing places in ancient Egypt is Luxor, home of countless wonders of the ancient world, including the Valley of the Kings and the Colossi of Memnon. But today's story is about the mystery surrounding the Colossi. which were originally crafted in the 14th century BC as some of the largest statues in the entire ancient world. They were part of a mortuary temple constructed for Amenhotep III back when Luxor was still known as Thebes, capital of the ancient Egyptian Empire. To understand the Colossi better, we need to take a look at Memnon. He was a mortal Greek from Homer's famous story Iliad. After Memnon's death, his mother Eos shed tears every single morning for her dead son. Eos was the goddess of dawn, so after the Colossi were built, something very strange happened. They began to sing. After an earthquake destroyed part of one of the colossal statues in 27 AD, every morning a sound could be heard like singing coming from the huge statues. The Romans of the time believed that the singing was coming from Memnon's mother as she mourned for her son. This is how the Colossi of Memnon got their name. But now you're probably wondering how a pair of statues could possibly sing? The truth is that nobody knows, and by all accounts, they really did. Mind you, they didn't sing in the beginning. It wasn't until the earthquake that they began to make noise, and they don't make noise anymore. And yet, according to how stuff works, the Roman Emperor Septimus Severus repaired the broken statue and thereby stopped the singing. The best that scientists can come up with is that somehow the humidity from the broken stone mixed with the rising heat in the morning and created a noise that could be heard far and wide. Number 6. The global hum? There is something that people have begun to call the global hum, which scientists around the world are at a loss for explaining. Let me start from the beginning. The hum has been described as thick and low noise inside the ears, sometimes so stringent that it will permeate a person's entire home. It has been heard by roughly 2% of the population, with some experts claiming it's a mysterious auditory phenomenon. However, nobody's sure when the hum began or when people started to notice it. But we do know it started getting attention in the media during the 1970s in England. Regardless of just how many people have heard the hum across the world, governments and mainstream scientists have dismissed its existence fervently. They have chalked it up to a global paranoid delusion, saying that people who hear the hum simply have tinnitus, which is a strange ringing noise that happens in a person's ear every now and again for basically no reason. Here's where things get weird. Some people claim that the hum is a huge conspiracy, in which the government is trying to brainwash people using ultra-low frequency attacks. But of course, every last theory is unproven and mostly hearsay. Have you heard the hum? Number 5. Before the Big Bang? The biggest question in the universe is, what came before the Big Bang? Absolutely nobody knows the answer to this question. And the scary truth is that nobody even knows if the Big Bang was real, which is why they call it the Big Bang Theory. Some people claim that the universe existed forever, with some saying that there must have been something before it. If the Big Bang was real, what started it and what was before it? If the universe existed forever, how did it get there in the first place? Why is our universe only a few billion years old? And where does the universe go when it's over? Basically, scientists have no idea. It seems completely insane that 200 billion galaxies exploded into the universe at the exact same time 13.8 billion years ago and are still expanding outwards from the explosion, which apparently began in an area smaller than the head of a pin. If you really dig down and think about it, it doesn't make any sense. But what also doesn't make any sense is what came before. According to an expert in the field named Carlo Contaldi from the Imperial College London, and I quote, "Nothing makes sense anymore." But of course, we are getting closer to solving this problem. But we can't solve it completely until scientists have a better understanding of quantum gravity and the existence of time. And both of these subjects are way too complicated to get into right now. Our smartest researchers will investigate this, and maybe in the next 100 years we will have an answer we lack right now. Number 4. Three Whale Rock. Three Whale Rock is one of the most spectacular natural wonders and cultural experiences that can be had in Thailand. The rock itself is something of a mystery. The rock formation formed about 75 million years ago, and it's currently sticking out of the side of a remote mountain forest in the province of Buong Kan. This is about 466 miles or 700 kilometers from Bangkok. And if you haven't guessed yet, the beautiful landmark was named Three Whale Rock because it looks like a family of three whales. The big mystery about this rock formation, or rather the three main rock formations, is that they are incredibly smooth and very uniform. They almost look photoshopped, but the truth is that they likely formed after millions of years of erosion, with rain sliding off the top of the formations, creating the smooth surfaces and the huge canyons between where the trees are growing. Still, this is a type of formation only found in Thailand, in this one region, and scientists aren't sure why there aren't more of them. Number 3. Where is Atlantis? The biggest archaeological mystery in the entire world is definitely the location of the lost city of Atlantis. But what a lot of people don't know is that this city of Atlantis probably never existed, since it was a mythical island nation remembered only briefly in dialogue written by Plato somewhere around 2400 years ago. In this dialogue, Plato wrote of a powerful and very advanced kingdom that sank overnight into the ocean in the year 9600 BC. Even at the time of its writing, Greeks were pretty well aware that it was simply a metaphor. And yet, fast forward to 2021, people are still adamant that somewhere beneath the surface of the ocean is Plato's legendary city. What you should keep in mind is that Plato claimed that the city was protected by the sea god Poseidon, who actually made his son the king of Atlantis. Then Atlantis sank, all because of divine punishment, after they grew too powerful and too unruly. But let's take a look anyway. According to the History Channel, there have been some pretty compelling archaeological evidence that scientists have yet to explain. For example, there is a suspicious undersea rock formation known as Bimini Road near the Bahamas. This road was found with what appears to be man-made stones in a straight formation, as if leading to some kind of great city. Some say this was once the road to Atlantis. Number 2. The Theampa Figurine. To this very day, scientists aren't sure if the Theampa Figurine is a relic 2 million years old or a hoax. It was allegedly discovered in 1889 by a group of workers who had been searching for water near the southwestern Idaho town of Nampa. They created a borehole about 295 feet deep, or 90 meters, and once they hit water, the pump began spinning out little pieces of clay. Amongst these pieces of clay, the workers found the tiny clay figure of a person, only about the size of a dime, which would turn out to be the infamous Theampa Figurine. The figure appeared to depict a woman or small child. Professor Albert A. Wright from the Oberlin College wrote in 1979 that the figurine was made by a true artist, not simply by some primitive caveman. But here's where the controversy comes into play. The formation that the workers drilled into was at least 2 million years old. That means that if someone really did create this figurine, they did so 2 million years ago. This, of course, is impossible, as human beings were not creating artistic figurines that long ago. We didn't even exist. All mainstream scientists and scholars still say that the Theampa Figurine is an impossibility. And yet, there's no denying that it could be real. Of course, the hard thing to reconcile here is that it must have been crafted by some kind of intelligent life form 2 million years ago. The questions are, who did it? And where did they go? Number 1. Slippery ice. Believe it or not, one of the strangest things currently unknown to scientists is why ice is slippery. Of course, we know ice is slippery. This is not a debatable fact. It's the nature of the slipperiness that has scientists scratching their heads. Generally, all scientists can agree that ice is slippery because of a very thin layer of water that is generated by friction, like when you walk across an ice rink. The friction from your feet creates a thin layer of water that you can slip on. But it's this tiny bit of water between your feet and the ice that has scientists baffled. The thin layer of water has never been properly measured. No scientist on Earth knows how thick it is, and even its very existence is the subject of heated debate. Even more mysterious is that liquid water is not a very good lubricant, which is a little confusing when it's so slippery on ice. In a new study from a physics laboratory in Paris, A team of scientists tried to get to the bottom of this mystery. They were able to demonstrate with their tests that friction does 100% generate a thin film of water. However, it turned out that the thickness of the water was roughly the same thickness as a strand of hair, way thinner than theoretically estimated previously. Also, this film is not just water, but a type of viscous water with almost the same consistency as oil, which is probably why it's so slippery. Still, even after all these tests, a lot of the "why is ice so slippery" question is still left unanswered. Do you have any theories about these unexplainable discoveries? Let me know your thoughts in the comments and be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching and see you soon for another awesome video.